Good morning and welcome to the program, Sec Vince. Thank you for joining us and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Zito. Excuse me, I am on holiday, but I'm always ready to speak about energy matters with you.
Yes, and I believe you are one of the better resource persons that I can speak and the viewers can listen to. You may have heard my introduction. And, rather than talk about economic issues related to power, etc., I presented to the viewers the lamentation of an ordinary Filipina. She appealed to me to please tackle the subject matter on the show because they can barely make ends meet regarding the cost of electricity. What is behind all of this? Why is electricity so expensive in the Philippines compared to our ASEAN neighbors?
Thank you, Zito. It's a sentiment that your lady that you met is shared by everyone else. I have had comments from governors and mayors of provinces that their constituents are also complaining of the very high cost of electricity today. So let's break it down and we can look at what's happening. We could always complain that the cost of electricity is caused by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. That is often the common reason. Yes, that is true. Because of the invasion of Russia of Ukraine, the gas supply that Russia used to pass through Ukraine to Europe is now obviously compromised. And for political reasons, the European countries would like to buy less of gas from Russia, which is creating demand for for gas supply being very tight. When gas supply is shortened, then other power plants are buying coal instead to replace the supply of gas that used to come from Russia. Mm-hmm. So coal prices have gone up. Okay. That's things happening outside the Philippines, Sito.
Okay.
Now, why does that affect us? Well, over the last decade, I will not mince words, we have shifted our fuel supply when we used to be only about 1/3 to 40% of our supply of power comes from coal. It is now close to between 57 to 60%. We have built more coal plants in the last 20 years, and therefore we need more coal fuel. But the Philippines is not a coal exporter. We buy a lot of our coal from abroad, Indonesia, Australia, a bit of China, and even from Africa. Therefore, our electricity prices has been affected by the price of coal, which was affected by the shortage of gas supply from Russia, which was affected by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Mm-hmm. So one can say, ay, hindi natin kasalanan yan. Kasalanan ng mga Russians. But part of the problem we have is we have become overly dependent on imported coal. And the price of coal, for everyone listening, has gone up from $100 a ton to almost $400 a ton in the middle of last year, and maybe come down to $350 a ton today. But that's still a multiple of 3.5 times. Okay? Mm-hmm. But I'm going to add another layer, Sito.
Yeah.
There are certain power supply agreements that are based on coal, okay, who have decided that they will pass on the price of the coal fuel to the consumer. Mm-hmm. They have agreed that they will pass on any increase or decrease in coal prices to the consumer. And that's what's happening now. the coal prices, electricity from coal power plants has become very expensive and it's passed on to the consumer. And unfortunately, a lot of the electric co-ops have relied on coal fuel supply. Okay, let me stop there. That was a lot to digest. We could break that into other solutions and issues, but right now, that is what is the cost of electricity today.
That is the
Yeah.
immediate cause, Sec Vince. But many people will say, pero Sec Vince, that problem has been here ever since, even before coal and bunker fuel and all sorts of fuel. Electricity in the Philippines has always been higher than neighbors. Is it because our country or government, and not any particular administration, does not really have a proper plan and proper set of experts to run this? Because I keep hearing other columnists saying that, during the time of Jerry Velasco, Geronimo Velasco, they had a working plan for alternative energy, multiple resources, etc. And then you're pointing out that somebody threw all of that out the window and implemented a pro-coal program. Is it because we don't have a proper program after Geronimo Velasco, or is it something else?
Okay, Sito, let's take away muna the government. Let's put it aside. Let's talk about the Philippines as a country of 7,000 islands,
Okay.
isolated from the rest of the world because we are separated by the seas of the West Philippine Sea and the Pacific Ocean. So why is that relevant when it comes to talking about energy? A country like Thailand, which is very industrialized, which relies a lot on power,
Mhm.
can buy cheap, large hydropower projects, neighbors like Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia.
Mhm.
They could easily interconnect because they're connected by land. We do not have that luxury.
Okay.
Okay. Second, a country like Malaysia, no. Many, even a few decades ago, an archipelago like Indonesia, separated like the Philippines,
Mhm.
had very low power prices. Why? They had a lot of their own natural oil resources. We do not have that. Okay, so one is archipelago tayo.
Mhm.
So not even an archipelago. We could be an island like Sri Lanka or Australia. But the fact that we have to bring in power, we cannot buy electricity unless there's a submarine cable that's thousands of kilometers long. Wala yan. So we have to bring in power or fuel from abroad.
Okay.
But Indonesia is an archipelago. Why not? Well, maswerte sila. They had a lot of oil reserves. They were exporting oil, even natural gas. We didn't have that benefit. Okay.
Okay.
Now, there's a third aspect to our geography, Sito. Unlike an island like Sri Lanka or Japan, or Australia,
Mhm.
we are 7,000 islands. Now, why is that relevant? We cannot build a very large power plant because the islands limit the size of the power plant. I know it seems unreal, unusual, pero if we have multiple plants and one plant is mega, ang laki, because the bigger the plant, the cheaper the electricity. Yung economics of scale, diba, that we talk about.
Mhm.
But if we have a large power plant and the rest are small, pag for some reason bumitaw yung power plant, nagkaroon ng jellyfish incident or naputol yung transmission line,
Mhm.
the entire grid will fall. Will have a grid-wide blackout. The
Which has
analogy is
happened.
you have,
Which has happened in the past.
which has
and,
happened during my time.
Yeah, it happened during your time, and something similar happened last weekend. You know, two
Correct.
batteries collapse or fail, and the entire country goes black out nautically. I mean,
Correct. In terms of
aeronautically.
radar. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the analogy is para bang you have 6 children holding hands in a circle. But one of them is a big heavyweight child. They're going around in a circle, the 6 children, but the 5 are tiny, but the 6th is big. And if he accidentally trips and falls, the other 5 will fall also. Okay?
Okay.
So for that reason, we do not have a power plant larger than about 600 to 700 megawatts. That's the largest power plant in the country. It's located right now in Bataan. Before that, it was Suwal in Pangasinan.
Yeah.
For that reason, they do not build larger than that, so that if one plant happens to go offline, whether maintenance or nag-trip or there was an interruption, the rest of the grid does not collapse. That is the reason. And because of that, maliliit yung planta natin compared to a 2,000 megawatt plant in Korea or in Vietnam. We are only limited. So the cost of electricity is higher because our plants are smaller. Okay, that's geography. That's isolated archipelago. That is the case.